template. All right, so Celeste, I'm going to why I mean I don't have to remember this. I'm gonna just say it like this. And see those messages popping up. Events part 2. I know emails part 2, right? So we're gonna go over what we've already gone over. So ask questions as you have them, right? It'll be a little bit easier because I'll be able to see you versus trying to go back and forth with the comments and everything. But basically, part of this is a self-guided training where I show officers of clubs what they can potentially do and how they can potentially do stuff by building up on it, right? And then giving actual examples of stuff that's been done. So kind of to let you know about how that overview is. And yeah, it's the 19th of November. And like I said, WolfPack Connect training emails part 2. So in the previous training for emails part 1, we went through and did a few things, right? So I'm going to go to my test group club because that's where I work and do most of my stuff off of, right? But the emails tile itself, right? I always like having this left side pane window open, as this will give you a lot of options that you can do things with. This side pane will give you a lot more additional side options that you didn't really know that you could do if you were to just click, say, on emails, right? By clicking on email, you have all these different options. You may not see them, right? So what we ended up doing at the end of this, of the last Friday, the emails part 1, was we sent off a couple of test emails and in different variations and forms, either through tag it using tags or through filtering out specifics like students, the account type, or some user identification, or if it was depending on the type of membership, whether it was an officer or whether it was just a general member of a club, right? So the things that today, I will say that we are going to really be building up, and I just so that you can see what we're going to be working on is we're going to be working on the email builder and really build and actually showing all the cool features that you can really do when sending out emails that have a lot more interactive elements to it, including videos, pictures. You can really make kind of basically like if you have a template document or a stationery that's got say your name or stuff about you, right? This is kind of what you can do it with your club, is customize it to have some sort of just personalized element that is always branding to the club, right? But in the first training with emails, we went over the email composer and how that all kind of went about. Basically, it's the default fashion email option, and as you can see, and I will say, once we go into the email builder, you're going to see how much simpler and streamlined this whole thing is. But I always say to follow the numbers, right? Because there can be a lot of options when it comes to things in here. Events is a great example. We had a billion different options, somewhat similar to the emails. And I say always follow these numbers because they're going to be very helpful. So the review of the list of people, who we're going to send it to, right? You can always add more people and type in, like I want to add my, my student account here. I could always do that and add that. I can always edit that recipient list, which should take us back to the very previous screen as a sub window, which will let us filter out and decide, hey, how do I want to do this? Do I want to do this with officers? Do I want to do all members in total, or do I want to do as officers? As you can see, there's a past and active. I would never really want to do a past for this, or student, and then if there are any identifiable tagging information with this, the reason why you see the unknown and the not applicable is based on if a student has not yet finished their entire profile customization, they're going to have this unknown and not applicable, which is basically, I don't know how to really tag the student into the year that they graduate, right? So we have some people who have done 20 to 24, and we have someone who's done 2025, but the rest, because we just really don't push it and make it a mandatory option, nor I don't think we ever will, you're going to end up with a lot of unknown and not applicable for the student side of filtering on this aspect, right? And same with staff. And again, we don't have really anything for staff like a graduation type or any other type of identifiable tags for that. And contacts. Contacts in short kind of explain that if you had somebody check into an event or show up to an event that is not a member, but they checked in, or maybe they received an email that they're not part of your regular membership, but they're a prospective student who could maybe join, they then are configured in the platform as a contact, which basically affiliates them somewhat to the club, but doesn't make them an official member of the club until they're validated by an officer after they click on join. So, you can have a lot of contacts potentially if you have a lot of open and public events where you could potentially get new members. And it's a great way of attracting membership, right? And then member tags. And so what we did at the last training was I sent a email out, and I said I want to send an email out to Team Pink, right? And I have Ritzy as one of the students that is in the test group club, and she wanted to be in Team Pink. And so I know who this is going to go to Ritzy, but you can have this be anything, right? Like I have this obviously being set as colors. But say you wanted to identify this as officer or member, right? So we as admins have an officer and a member type of tag on the back end. But if you're trying to update your roster and make sure that you have an up-to-date membership of your club, it might not be a bad idea to create some tags that identify officer or member. And then you can specify who you want to send to and filter it out. Another example that we used last time was in Student Senate. There are different types of committees within Senate. And so we could create member tags that say, hey, the Admin and Finance Committee or the Legislative Affairs Committee. And then you could say, I want to, Team Blue is going to be the Admin and Finance. And then you could send it to only those individuals. Nobody else in the membership would then get it, right? So there's a lot you can do a lot of those types of things with tagging, and then you can also put some logic to it as well. User tags wouldn't show up for a non-admin, so you wouldn't see that. That is stuff on the back end, but subgroup tags would show up as an officer of a group. And as you can see, I kind of did some additional filtering down with east, south, north, and west, and then this was last year for a different project I was kind of testing out. But you can really go and, depending on how it's built up, right? I want to always make that clear, like you have to put a little time into it. But once you've established and really gotten your footing in, right, you can have some very customizable options that, you can really identify and know who you want to contact when you're using the email feature, right? So that's that kind of in a nutshell right there. And then, so who you want to send it to. You can also add the CC and the BCC. The big thing that I noted from that is once you use that, though, you won't be able to track the clicks and the clicks and opens, which is something I'm going to review in a second, but you lose out on being able to actually view and keep track of that data. Basically, it's not being monitored anymore when you do a CC or BCC. So just keep that in mind. The number 3, the who is it coming from? If you have an email address established for the group, right? So this test group club, I created a TGC at Madison College. So that's the group's email, right? Then I can say I want to send it from that email address instead of my personal email address. That's that's a big one right there, because if you know, you don't want to have your inbox being like bombed with a bunch of replies to something that you might be saying, or that you're suggesting, or that direction of your membership, whatever it may be, you can just have them going to a default shared mailbox, which then can be just, you know, directed on how it wants to be answered and who's going to answer it, et cetera, and whatnot. So that's what the 3 from the from is about. Then the 4 with the composer email, so a lot of this is going to be similar to Outlook or Gmail. As you can see, we have our subject line, and then we have an introduction that would be similar to a mail merge feature. So if I, you know, if I want, and my name's Sean, if I wanted to put down, hi, first name, I could then in the body of the message just start typing the body and whatnot. And once I previewed it down below, it would say hi, first name. The final product, once it hits the recipient, right, would say hi, Sean, or hi, whatever the name of the member is. And you can have a couple of these different options, as well as no introduction. You can also have you know, a little guide which would tell you exactly some bits of information about how doing mail merges with campus groups. But I will just make it very clear that it can be more confusing to try to get this set up and understand it than it is to actually go through with it. So in some regards, the only mail merge that might be of any interest would be the introduction spot. I also made it clear from last training that the attachment feature, so if I wanted to add a Word document or a PDF right now, I would have to click on add attachments right here and then upload that document, which is a little bit strange from how, you know, as it's right in the middle of the mail merge options here, right? Once I do that though, and add a document, it will then pop up right down here below, right above the body of the message, but below these template options that just shows what the specific item I'm attaching is going to be. But that can easily be not seen, so I always like bringing that up. And then, yeah, we go down to the body of the message itself. Just like many other types of email editors, there's all these different options that you can do for dumping, you know, like, you know, formatting and dumping things into it, or putting different sizes or alignments or color sequences. You can also put in images, right? Tables. You can even do it based off of HTML if you know that. But I would say, unless if you know HTML, it's probably a good thing to stay away from that. I mean, if you have an iframe for something like a video document, you could use that to prop that in there. And the big thing I mentioned from the training last week was to be aware of the fact that there is a formatting issue with WolfPack Connect and with certain document editors, right, or document programs like Word. So if you're going to do something in Word and you're going to customize it with the specific fonts, or not basically use any of these customizable options up here and do it all in Word ahead of time and then paste it in here, you want to make sure that you do paste from Word and then just do that Control-C, Control-V, or Command if you're using Apple, to make sure that you're then going to retain all of those personalization options instead of losing them, which you could potentially do if you didn't do it with this paste from Word. So just that's a big thing I always like to mention. And then moving down from 5 to 5 here was, if you have any specific things in that you've made in terms of surveys or forums or events or all those different things, you can add those in and attach them at the bottom of a message, right? So in this instance, which is really a nice feature, I will say, as you can see, I have a membership form, I can select that membership firm, or if I had like a test poll question, I could select that as well. And then when I put those down at the bottom, you'll see that they actually show up, which is very easy to like, if you're trying to hit your audience and make sure that they're seeing something relevant, that boom, you're able to do it right all in one area. Number 6 was delivery options, which you can schedule specific times when you want to send out emails. So like I did this when I was doing helping with the student senate elections. We were trying to get students to apply and get those applications in, and so we had a whole week that the application window was open, and so Monday, Wednesday, and then Friday morning, we had all these different emails scheduled to make sure that they were going to show up at that time, right? And so then down at the bottom, though, you can do things like save as a draft, similar to you would see in other things. But the big thing is this orange button, right? I always like to send myself a test email, which basically just sends it to the person who's making it. So I'm Sean right now, and this is my account, right? So it would send to that account, which is in this case S11. It would send that, and then I would be able to view the message and see like, hey, did I hit the return line enough times, or did I want to adjust like the differences in how it looks? And that said, they kind of added this feature in this option, which lets you basically preview it first inside of the editor itself, and before you can really save and send it, you have to really preview it. So if you hit that preview, it's now going to show you what your message looks like. And as I said, that mail merge, it shows hi first name. And as you also see here, as I started typing that nonsense, right, it popped out right away at the very beginning like that, right? So that may be something I want to change in a second. But here's those 2 forms that I have attached as well. So if I had a whole body message or whatever, this would also be there as well. And so then I can go ahead and hit close. It takes me back. And so if I say I want to go like, hey, I need to make sure I just have a couple lines added and return lines added before I do that, I can then go ahead and preview it first again. As you can see, it makes that difference. And that's awesome, right? So that's a pretty cool feature. And then once I hit the orange button for preview it first once, everything after that goes, I can now hit save and send, and then send the message away. So I'm not going to send this off. Actually, I could probably send this off here. I'm going to send it. I can't send it to myself exactly because I have myself as not being selected. I'll do that. So I'll just send it to Ritzy again. And so yes, now I hit save and send. And once we enter a subject, test, and boom. So now it's going to immediately say, hey, you've done it, right? You sent it, who you sent it to. One thing I mentioned and wanted to make clear in the last training as well was that there was this option right here, publish this email as a news article. That may seem not really relevant, depending on if, well, I will say it's relevant in the fact that you click on that and it publishes as a news article. That actually is part of an option on the incentive program, and that helps to build and give you money towards your incentive points, which we want. So I want to make sure, like, hey, make sure you do that. It's $25 right there. But the other reason why it's relevant is maybe you have an email that is specific to something that's going on in the group at a specific time. Let's use Senate and the elections again, right? Senate elections, and say like every March we have Senate elections happening around that time. So maybe there was some specific information that was in that email message that only was found in that email message, and you want to make sure that it's basically archived as a news article. You could then be able to publish it as a news article, and then it would show up on your website or on your group page as a news article, and then it could be found, right? So I've seen a lot of things similar to that in different forms and fashions, but I feel like that would be the best example. And so then past that news article thing, we have our view live opens and clicks, which I kind of talked about a second ago. And this is where we can view all the metrics of the message that we sent, which includes kind of an overview of who we sent it to, right? And then what the subject, which it says test, and then you can see that it says sent right there, when, who the recipients were. So this is going to say we obviously changed it to only 2 individuals. But originally, if we hadn't changed anything, it would have gone to all the officers active and past. And then this will obviously change once we have, when the people are starting clicking on stuff, right? So I will say I can use an example of, I would duplicate this here. Oh, actually, look. So there we go. So Ritzy has opened up this email message. It's almost like we planned this, but we didn't. She has opened up that email message already, and you can see that she's opened it, right? So, and that really this should change to really 50%. Yeah, there we go, 50% open, right? And you have a couple other things here. If we had, say, something in here that had a link to it, or if somebody said I wanted to unsubscribe from this email message, right? You would be able to see that information right there. And then again, some other bits of information that you could view would be is you could generate an Excel report of this to see everyone who opened something. You could also filter out depending on the category and the tag as well, or the account type, all those different filtering options, right? So that's the other big thing right here. So I will want to, though, show an example of something with the executive leadership team with this as a better example, right? So as you can see, there's a little bit more active. I built this up a little bit more, right? Like I said, I'm utilizing a lot more tagging, right? So that I can filter things specifically. So if I want to know about anything that is about the incentive program, I can click on the incentive program and then be able to view anything incentive program wise. I also obviously have differences with things like the year and whatnot, but it actually helps to be able to find what you're looking for a lot faster. But yes, so I sent this email out, I think, last week at the beginning of the week. And by clicking on this, it shows that, again, who I all sent it to. And the full 279 recipients. We had 59% opening, and 20 clicks. So what does that 20 clicks mean? Well, when we view the email, right, I have, and because I don't know, on my side it's very bright, so hopefully I'm going to just highlight. I have a few different things here. This is a link right here. There's a link right here. Here as well. All those things are links to specific forums. The incentive program, that's a Sign Up Genius link right here. And then these 2 things for these trainings, these previous trainings, are YouTube links, right? So all that, those, every time that you click on something in an email, that's all trackable, right? So that can show exactly who opened what, and again, we'll use Senate elections as the example. I was able to identify that there were some students when I would send out the from that Monday to Wednesday and Friday email interval of sending out scheduled emails, that I could see that some students were starting the application but not finishing it. And so on the last attempt to hit them on Friday, I decided, hey, well, I can identify that they're clicking on this and actually filling this out. Some are not at all, right? We'll see, here's an example of colors. He has not clicked on any of the links in this email. So I'm able to see who's actually potentially interested, right? And I can act on that, right? And so I sent out specifically to those individuals that I think could potentially finish the application if they got one last reminder, and it did. It actually helped quite a bit. So that can be very helpful for getting prospective members, or just trying to attract your audience and whatnot. So this metric, all this metric and data right here is very powerful and useful as a good tool. Like I said, though, if you do the BCC or the CC, you will potentially lose. Definitely with the BCC, you'll lose the ability to really track it the same way, though. And then before we move on to the second really big part of this training today, I'll just go over the quick basics of, we had our sent on the side here with the sub options, the sent, schedule, drafts, templates, email tracking, etc. Right? So as it would seem obvious, the sent obviously is going to show me all the sent emails, that same page we were just on. Any emails that I have scheduled would also show up and display here. Then we have drafts, right? I may have quite a few. Obviously, I do have quite a few drafts. This would all be similar to what you would see in Outlook or Gmail. Templates, here's a great example. I have, and this is what we're going to be going over in a second, is I have an ELT template that I can use and easily be able to just that's my branding for ELT in this instance. If you don't have any specific personalized, customized options for your club, it will then show below just all these default things. So, right, if you don't have anything made yourself, you're just going to see the default options, but you can select one of these options and kind of be able to build and duplicate and build off of it, right? And then as you can see, the orange will show you, here's all the create templates and the options right there. The email tracking will again show you the similar thing that exactly what the tracking, the same thing that we show with the opens and clicks, but with just a little bit more extensive based off of the user instead of the email. So this is a staff member of a club advisor, and we can see that we can actually view the specific pieces of mail that were sent out and how, if they opened it or not, right? And then if they clicked on any of the links, so again, if we were looking at our opens and clicks prior to when we send out an email originally, which would show the subject, the main email, and then the people who then clicked on it, this flips it around and shows the person or the user as the main thing, and then the emails as the secondary thing. Hopefully that makes sense. Does that make sense? That's cool. And so that can be also very useful as a way to get users, right? And then delivery status, I'm going to say this is more based off of troubleshooting. If you don't have, if you don't know if something is actually going to a recipient, say you have maybe a potentially wrong email address or an email address that is not real at all. It might be a spam one. This would maybe give you some idea if it's actually going to its recipient or if it's not, or if it just drops, right? And then it can show you other bits of information as well that can be useful, though, which is first open. But yeah, this is most of it is just a metric, right? For troubleshooting purposes on kind of like the back end with the network. And then you're unsubscribed. So like I mentioned originally about the unsubscribed, right? So someone can go ahead and click at the bottom of an email message. So if we were to go back to one of our messages and show this, right? So I have an unclaimed money option, and I think I probably put something down at the bottom. So right down here at the bottom, and I will zoom in just a little bit, right? We have an option here that says it was sent. Obviously, I didn't mask it with the club name, but I said, unsubscribe from the executive leadership team. By clicking on that, right, and then it would then show up in here, and you can see at a glance who all unsubscribed as users, but you can also see when they did it, and you can see what was the email and who was the person sending it, the sender, that was kind of the trigger as to why they became unsubscribed. So as you can see with Amanda here, the See You Tomorrow at Campus Fun Day was the one that ended up being, she opened it and she ended up deciding to unsubscribe from that. So she'll no longer receive emails from ELT, which I would say is probably not a great thing, considering that that's how we communicate with our club officers, but that is her choice. And then, yeah, you could make notes that would be seen by other people who comment as well. But that feature really hasn't been really used that much, so I can't really speak to that much. So that said, I'm going to take a quick break here and specifically ask you, Celeste, any questions, anything you want me to kind of go in more detail on, anything that I can do to kind of make you feel more comfortable with the material.
So far, it's been very cohesive. There's not any outstanding questions I have.
Okay.
I know in the club meeting we had last Thursday, we were discussing how we plan to send out the end of year survey for our members and club attendance or event attendance. And we were considering how to get that to as many people as possible, including people who weren't actually club members but still showed up. So knowing that we're able to manually register them, tag them, and get that information out is very, very helpful. We also had talked about wanting to more actively encourage people to sign in and register because we want metrics, we want data. And knowing that there are more benefits to that, and knowing that we can also use that to help get that information out there to better our club is extremely valuable.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and if you're cool with that, I could actually just take a quick look gander again and see, just looking at again, I have a lot of some of these things like the members, right? Is I actually just scheduled the members for the spring semester, that training. So there's going to be more trainings on different aspects. So I don't really have anything. So I guess what I'm saying is it could be very easily to get lost here in a second. But looking at your current members of 33, right? Another thing that could be very useful, right, is you could again, those member tags. Some clubs have active members versus just members, right? Like they're a member of, right, because they maybe went to something, and because of that we decided to be a member. I think it really depends on what their bylaws state, right, on how they define membership. But if you have, say, I know one club specifically an example of is if they go to 5 meetings, they become an active member, and that active member then gets voting rights, right, or a say in something, right? So one thing that could be very useful is to be able to have a member tag that might say active member or whatnot, or who knows, right? But if we look down at contacts here, we have 5 contacts, right? So that's not bad. You probably will never get. The only one times when you get a lot of contacts is when you're something like Senate, which is huge, right? But this is good. So you can see that you have 5 contacts, and one big thing here is this tells you how they found you, right? They registered to an event, or they attempted to join the group, or and most of these are going to be registered events. Sometimes it received an email is an option, right? But these are potential members, right? And if we look at our current members, we don't have any members. There'd be a little thing up here that says members pending validation. If we had any members who are trying to join right now, but that's very interesting, very good and useful, and just being able to kind of break down everything, right? So you can see every little bit of information And some of these things, I'm gonna be honest, can be a little bit like, huh? Like you could have, like this is kind of like a 38. Really don't have a full-on answer because some of these end up actually being members. So this doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, or maybe another explanation as to why you have why you end up with a number that doesn't match the number that I just showed you is because that members have now been removed or deactivated from the account as well. That could honestly be a valid reasoning. So yeah, I would say either they were contacts that are not accurately displaying right, that are now technically members, so they should be removed off of that page, or they've been deactivated members that I've deactivated over time, or that you guys have deactivated, not deactivated, you guys have removed as a member of the club at some point, that could be another thing, right? And so, because I would say this right here, this 4 and 1 could be actually a better example of your contacts, because you have 5 contacts. That probably, I bet you, is, yep, so I know Karen was in on the other 4, let's see. Dennis, Linda, well, so as a contact when managing a group. So I got, so here's a great example of this, right? So I got added as a contact because I clicked on this, right? Because I clicked on
into this.
Yeah, so that is why I ended up becoming, and so did Eljo here. So there's a lot of different reasons why things end up showing up the way that they do, but the big issue is looking at your contact list right here and seeing that these are potentially new members. And so yeah, I don't want to get off too off topic, but I'm very happy that you're seeing that and able to do that. So actually, let's try to have a little fun with the Testing Club on this one. So now the big thing here is next difference, right? And as you can see here, if I had all these, I could do a lot of cool things with these. But we're going to compose a new email. We're going to again send it out and utilize the member tags. And I think it's been funny that we've been sending these all to Ritzy here, and it's been probably driving her crazy that we'll just send it again and compose email. And so now it's going to ask how you want to do that. This time we're going to go with the email builder and kind of show the difference. So now it's the same looking screen to a lot of ways, but as you can see, it looks a lot more streamlined and smooth. Obviously, there's the headers up here, the return back button, but as you can see, this stuff down here, which kind of easily shows all the steps to the N1 being delivery, right? So, and then number 2 is the same as what I explained at the beginning. It's all the same, right? But it all takes you into step by step instead of all doing it in one page, right? So, and by default, these things are going to show up as options instead of them being minimized and then uncollapsing, and then be maximized to actually view them. So, so there's that. And just for let's see if put me in. I actually put down Sean. I don't know which one I am since I have 2 names that are exactly the same. So it's got to be this one. So I can uncheck that one. And so yeah, I got my student one, and then I've got Recipient here. And so we now can go to the next step here and go to next. And again, same as before, same things, the subject line, email builder test, and I'm going to send it from the test group club this time. And then I'm going to do a hi first name, and I don't have any attachments, so I'm going to go ahead and hit next. So we're smoking right now here, because I don't have any specific template. it's not gonna give me an option here other than the default options. I could choose one of these if I want to. A lot of these are really nice. A lot of these have everything I need and I'm looking for, right? But I'm going to just go ahead and click next, because I'm going to build it from scratch, right? So, I guess it's gonna make me pick a template. Wow, it did. How it took me all the way back. Maybe, what the heck was that? That's great. So let's do test that. And I'm gonna do my first name. Is it really gonna not let me do next? That's so strange. Okay,
Well,
well,
that's a fun quirk.
yeah, that's a one that needs to be really fixed. So yeah, let's do my first name next. So then I guess we gotta go with this, right? So here's the thing though that is cool, because then it's gonna take you down to the design element, right? So I need to make sure that I have some pictures, so I'm gonna go to files. And I'm going to put down,
You can steal the Flash logo if you'd like. So I don't know if we have it up
that
there.
might not be a bad idea, actually. Actually, I got this one here. So, and I think that I have video. Do I have video? Yep, I do. Sweet. So, and I've got videos. So that's going to be perfect in a second. So I've already preloaded videos in. So that's going to be helpful in a second. So I can go ahead and add an image, right? And upload that, right? And as, where did it go? Did it go in my downloads? So I can pop that down, hit save. That's gonna pop in. I mean, I can customize that right now if I really wanted to, right? I could, but some things here is, if I wanted to say send this to, maybe if I say I wanted to send this to the Task Group Club homepage, right? I could pop this down into the link so that it's basically, yeah, you click on the image, it'll take you somewhere, right? Or and also image alt is good for ADA accessibility. So people who are blind and visually impaired can be able to still have screen readers read the information and the kind of describe what the image is. So icon man repairman. So I can hit save on that, and then boom, it pops up right there, right? So that's sweet right now, because this is where it kind of gets awesome, because these are all these different options that you can do a lot of things with. We selected a template of just an image and a body, basically a body of stuff, but you can customize this however you want, right? So if you have, say, social links that you have, you can select, drag it right in. It would then pop up and say select which social links you want to have it as. And then if you had any social links, you could just click and insert those in, and then boom, it would be done, which is sweet, right? You can always, of course, move this at any point to say someplace else. So I want it right here. I can put that in the bottom, right? I don't have any social links, obviously, so that kind of takes me away from that, and hit save. And then I can go and say, maybe I want to put in, I mean, maybe I have some news articles that from the past, so I could select which news articles I want to, I'm just going to take a select news. So I could do test, I could do welcome reader greeted, and insert that selected news, hit save, and then that immediately will update. I can, maybe if I had a specific table of contents, I could do that. I could put down the officers so that I could show exactly who the officers of the test group club are at any one moment, right? And then I can select those officers, say, hey, Elijah, and let's say Kodiak, right? And then insert those officers in there and hit save, right? So like these three officers were saying something interesting the other day or whatnot. And then I could, again, throw videos in there, right? So I can throw videos in there and then that would allow me to then select those specific videos that I've already pre-put into the platform, right? So, it's just great. It wants me to actually add them. So that's not what I remember, but that's fine. I can say copy link address, and then I can go ahead and just pop that down, maybe your caption, and hit save, right? And then boom, that's gonna show up right there. And I mean, I can really do whatever, like, hey, I want to put a button right here. What do I want that button to do, right? I want that button to be an election, like you're searching for, you have to vote for something, right? So vote here, and then that takes you to a form that you've created, right? That then I could then do surveys and forms, and I could say I don't know what specific one this is, but we could pop that right in here, and then we could hit save, right? And then that will change, and now say, well, it should say vote here, but maybe that's just taking a second. And yeah, I can continue to build upon this as much as I really want. I mean, if I had events, I don't have events, right? For this specific thing. So I can't add any, but if I had events, I could pop events in there and I could select events. Like, so these are the events coming up. Check these out. And then, so instead of you selecting at the very bottom of the page, you can now select you can now decide where you want to put them at the very top of it, right? And then, again, maybe I could do, well, I guess I could do insert, let's just do this. Yeah, that's crazy. And hit save. That's probably letting me do that because I'm the admin, and select as many as I want. But maybe this was trying to talk about specific times. Again, it's going to be slow. Come on. And could say select content areas. I mean, you can have, again, I have not really used this part of it as much, but you could actually do that as well. A content acre would basically be a positioning in the screen, I believe, that I know it is a different sense from my days of doing HTML, like a permalink or whatever. But basically, if you said I wanted to have right here have an anchor for videos, then you could say, in this email, videos, and then you could I can't even spell videos right. And then you can have a link, that anchor link, which would then somebody clicks on it, it would then immediately go down to the videos, right? So that's the thing, right? I can save it, probably won't do anything, but I can build this as much as I literally want to, and you can make these super cool. It's really up to your imagination, right? So this is the big nice new thing. I can also save it as a template. I can now go next. I can still add things at the very bottom if I wanted to, right? I can still do that technically, but I don't really have to do it as much now because I've added that stuff at the very beginning or someplace within the email body and like contents itself. And then I can then go to that last step in this nice smooth delivery process, which just says, do I want to schedule it, or do I want to send it now? And it still has that same type of safety system of preview it first with the orange button, and then get ready to send it afterwards. So let's see what this ends up looking like. It's gonna be a lot of different things here, right? A lot of different things, and then we can hit close, and then we can hit save and send. And then it will take us to the same thing what we've seen before, the view live, the opens and clicks, right? But we've now just created this really cool email, right? And really the sky's the limit in terms of making, really designing something, right? You can design something that could really be very interactive, and maybe you know that it's going to attract members by how you rearrange certain things. I mean, grocery stores have certain brands that it's high level for a reason, right? Maybe an email message could, attract certain engagement a certain way depending on how it's labeled. Who knows, right? It would be crazy if she already had picked up on that. But yeah, again, me clicking on that button would have taken me to should have, well, maybe it didn't have the thing on there, which is a bummer. Should have. This also takes me right to that thing. But yeah, there's a lot of different things you can do with this, and I didn't make an anchor, so of course that's not going to show up. But yeah, it's really sky's the limit, and it's really a cool new feature, and it's just going to keep being built up on and improved on. So before, I know that the majority of this was just recapping things, but I always like to recap intentionally, and that this was really more of just a play around and show things. But I want to ask and just check questions. Do you have any questions?
I don't think so. I guess it's just a relief that.
It's a lot, right?
Yeah, it's a lot, but for the email builder, at least, it's a relief that the GUI is so comprehensive.
Yeah.
Instead of having to manually format an email using HTML when you want it to do complicated things, which is just, I don't know, no matter how fluent I am with it, it's just always so mundane, so menial.
I do not like having, I never liked having to create HTML tables with TDs and TRs and everything, because I couldn't get my head around the math of it sometimes. Something as simple, I could just do it. So yeah, this really does simplify a lot of things, right? And makes it very streamlined for anybody to be able to do it, which is a pretty cool thing, I think, right? And yeah, there are some of those features like the anchor. There was other ones like the you can add, you can add a break in there, if we're talking about HTML tags, right? Like a break, put a break in there, and in terms of a divider, right? But there's a lot, and I think that the more that people play around with it, the more that they can kind of expand off of it. And so ELT is doing a lot more of that now, where that is exactly everything that we are doing, right? I sent that email out the other day that I just demonstrated with the reminder. That email was done using the email builder, right? I did use the email builder with this, and I did throw in these videos in here, as well as a couple of the dividers, and then continue to throw in these training videos at the very bottom. But yeah, this is an email that was made with that in mind, right? So it's really, the sky is the limit. So I'm going to, let me just check to see, because we are at time here. I want to just make sure that.
I had one last brief
what's
question. If I wanted to access the previous video versions of these meetings, from where would I be able to do that? So
you should be, just to double check, you should be in the executive leadership team's membership. So Celeste, right? Yep, so you are, right?
That's great.
Perfect. So you will have 4 links, and then you'll have ELT right below it, right? So if you clicked on ELT, Obviously, again, another reminder, officers will see, when they click on their group, they will immediately go to their tile page, their main group dashboard, whereas members go to the group page right off the get-go. So when you click on the executive leadership team, you're gonna go to this page.
Okay.
And it's gonna show all these different things. So to view past videos, right, probably the simplest way is to go to videos. Across the top, there's all these options, and then here are all the training videos, as well as other workshop orientations and club advisor lunches. But yeah, the main ones though is the WolfPack Connect trainings themselves. Those all will count as officer workshop, reflection forum for the incentive program. So that is the big thing, is making sure that you just, let me go back here. As you can see, again, using tagging, right, we can make this very simple. Able to go and then select workshop reflection forum. I can then copy that, right? And then I can, and this is one of the things that you will not see right away, but this is another way to mail somebody, send an email to them, right? As you can send email by going through members and then send an email, and then just be able to pop that down right there and say officer workshop form to fill out. So pop, and then fill this out twice, one for the in-person training on 11/19, and for the video that you watch, I'm just gonna say on demand. And then preview first, close, save and send, and that will log on to your email, right? So pretty cool, right? So yeah, that's it, and then that'll give you the points. So
Awesome.
yeah, anyone who's watching this video after the fact, make sure you fill out that officer workshop reflection form, which you can find in the club guide to be able to get the points for it. And if you have any questions, or if anybody needs one-on-ones, they can always reach out to clubs at madisoncollege.edu, or reach out to me directly, Sean Green, at sgreen11@madisoncollege.edu. So with that said, I'm going to stop sharing and say thank you very much, and have a great rest of your day.